I understand. What would I do differently? I'll tell you what. Going back to the first question you asked me, what advice do I give my students? I was really worried. I was worried that I didn't do a good job. In retrospect, I did okay. I did pretty good. In retrospect, I wouldn't worry as much as I worried. I wouldn't beat myself up. I'd be more forgiving of myself. Life is too short, man, to beat yourself up. Just enjoy feel good about what you're doing. Do better. Always try to do better, right?
Yeah.
But recognize that the good stuff you're doing is good.
Welcome to the Navigating Now podcast, where we explore the multidisciplinary world of nanotechnology with distinguished professors and researchers. Join us as we sit down and talk about their cutting-edge research, career paths, and expert opinions on the expanding world of nanotechnology. This week we are joined by Dr. Gregory Parsons, professor at the Department of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering at NC State. His research focuses on the fabrication and function of advanced electronically active materials. He sits down with us, the Materials Research Society at the Joint School of Nanoscience and Nanoengineering, where he gives obvious but not so obvious advice to grad students. He reflects on what he do differently on his path in academia and notes, failure is not the end of the world. You are most likely doing just fine. Join us as we navigate Nano.
I can start.
Yeah, here you go.
All right. So you've mentored many graduate students, and I was wondering what's the most common advice you give to them?
Most common advice that I give to my graduate students? The common advice that I give to my graduate students is that what I find is that graduate students often think that their contributions are less valuable than they really are. People kind of tend to think that what they do is not important. What they do is somehow flawed or not really all that great. And I try to convince my students that what they do is important. What they're learning is important, and they're doing a good job. Students often feel like they're not performing, up to snuff. And they look at other people and say, oh, that person is doing much better than me. And usually it's not. Usually they're doing better than they think.
I feel that.
You have next one?
I can ask another one. Okay, so, do you want to go? You can go.
Yeah, well, now...
You asked a lot of questions already. You can ask another one. This is your last one.
Right.
I'm just joking. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. No, this was my curiosity. When we talk about adhesion, what is the mechanism that is underlying? Because is it just van der Waals forces, or are there any additional forces which go into it? How we van der Waals forces for adhesion? Sticking, adhesion.
Oh, van der Waals forces is one.
Apart from that, are there any other things that come into
Yeah, you can. It's pretty well known, right? Adhesion is van der Waals, but also van der Waals is kind of existing polarity, right? If something is polar, then you're going to get a van der Waals. But there's also something called London forces, which is induced polarization. So that's another thing. So things that are nonpolar can also adhere due to London forces, which is kind of like an induced. That's what I think. I think that's true. And what else is there? There's also hydrophilic, hydrophobic forces, right? Which is things will adhere when they exclude water. It's like a. This has nothing to do with my research. I don't know why you're asking me this. It has to do with
He's testing.
It's an entropic effect.
No, sticking probability is something that we look at whenever we are...
Sticking probability.
Yeah, whenever we are looking at developing thin films.
Right.
So I was looking in that direction whether addition is one of the mechanism when we are trying out different precursors.
Okay, so you want a sticking problem. Think about what is a sticking. Okay.
So sticking and addition, I took it like addition is a mass process. Sticking is like when we are looking at molecules.
Yeah, so when we talk about sticking probability during deposition process,
Yeah.
sticking, we usually think about that as like usually in ALD we think about it as in terms of chemisorption. Chemisorption probability.
Right.
Now that's different than sticking. That's different than adhesion. Chemisorption is when there's a chemical reaction called
Bonding.
formation of a covalent bond. So then it's really stuck. Okay. So the sticking probability is, what's the frequency at which, number of collisions that it takes in order to get a chemical reaction to occur. And very often it takes many, many hundreds, if not thousands of collisions before a reaction will occur.
Okay.
What you're asking me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand like what basic phenomena would go in when it is physisorption and when it is chemisorption.
Yeah,
so in case of physisorption, it would be sticking as such. In case of chemisorption, it's actually the bonding that is going to happen.
Very often, before you get a chemisorption, there's a physisorption event. So what happens is things physisorb and then they chemisorb. From that physisorb state, they chemisorb.
Okay.
So you can ask, what is the sticking probability in the physisorption state, or what is the sticking probability in the chemisorption state? I thought you were going to ask me easy questions.
Not at all.
Well, I have an easy one for you. Yep. So
Just qualified for easy questions.
it's okay. My question was, what does your mornings and like your schedule look like with the business? Yeah.
With
Like a daily schedule, like something that you do routinely, just so that we can get an idea of with your busy schedule, how you manage everything.
All right. My schedule is I get up as early as I can. Sometimes I get up at 4:30, sometimes I get up at 5. This morning I got up at 6:30.
That's more me.
I didn't do this until this schedule just kind of came up in the past like 10 years. I used to sleep in all the time. But now I like to get up in the morning. And unfortunately, the first thing I usually do is look at my phone and see what kind of nasty emails I got. I say, do I have any disasters I have to deal with today? That's the first thing I do is I look at my disaster list. And if I don't have any, then I get ready to go to work.
That newsletter, New York Times newsletter, always hitting me first thing in the morning.
I don't do that. I used to look at the news. I don't look at the news anymore because that can suck me in.
Doom scrolling.
So I don't look at the news. I just look at and I get a feeling for it. I look at my calendar and I say, what do I got to do? What's my first meeting today? What do I have to prepare for? And then then I shower and I go to work. I get into the office and I close my door. And I sit down and I wrote in my notebook. I write, this is the things I want to get done today. My notebook is around somewhere. I have notes every day. It's and I try to make notes about what are some of the key things that happened yesterday, and what just to kind of record my mood and record where I am, and then I kind of make a list of things and what I want to accomplish today or what I want to get done, and I never get it done. And then I work, and then
Ain't that just the
usually
way?
by 4:30, I'm kind of wasted. I'm done.
Yeah.
So then I go home, and then I spend time with my dogs and my wife, eat dinner with my wife, and then we watch TV, and I read my book, and then I go to bed. And I do that every day.
Yeah.
Except some days I leave work early. I try to leave work early, 3:30, 4 o'clock. I go to the gym, I go running or get exercise. And then every weekend, I walk with my wife and my dogs. So that's kind of we do outdoor activities.
So just a
What?
follow up. What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun?
Yes.
I just described
That.
that's my whole life.
Well, how many dogs do you have? First off, 2 dogs?
Sometimes I have to come on trips like this.
Yeah.
I do a lot of traveling. So I get on a plane, I go travel
Nice.
someplace. So today I'm here, right? Earlier this week, I was in Washington, D.C. Last week, I was in Germany. The week before that, I don't remember where, I was somewhere else. I travel around a lot, so I'm doing a lot of trips. So I get to kind of, and when I travel, I like to get out and explore, or run, or whatever. I just get outside. I always like to get outside, get some exercise.
Awesome.
Try to do that. I don't do it enough.
So you're in Raleigh, right?
Yeah.
What's like the best like outdoorsy thing to do in Raleigh? Like
Homestead State Park.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Homestead State Park.
Umstead?
It's a state park right next to the airport. You can't
Okay.
miss it. The giant state park.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Awesome. That's beautiful.
Any other questions?
Also, the greenways in Raleigh are nice. You can take your bike and go. They have paved greenways everywhere through Raleigh.
That's awesome.
What else?
Yeah, you did your postdoc at IBM TJ Watson, and then what motivated you to come to academia?
Oh, I got fired.
Oh, seriously?
That's a good answer.
I didn't really get fired, but they basically said your postdoc is ending. So, okay. And this was in a time when IBM they had a hiring freeze on. They weren't hiring anybody. Said your postdoc's ending and we don't have any positions. We have a hiring freeze, so you got to go. So I was like, okay, I better find a job. So
what was your work there in IBM TJ Watson? What was your work there in IBM TJ Watson?
what was my work?
Like your postdoc? Like what kind of project?
Oh, I didn't, it was very close to academic, what I was doing. I was like going in the lab and trying stuff and publishing papers, and they were IBM was very strict about, look, the research you do, it's got to be published, right? So they're very good about that. They were, a lot of companies, this is also back in the 1990s, so things are a little bit different now, but probably, I don't know. But, any kind of academic pursuit, you have to be able to publish. And if you're doing research for a company, there's kind of a, push and a pull, right? The company wants you to do something that's useful, and if it's really useful, they want to patent it. And if they want to patent it, then maybe they don't want you to publicize it, right? But if you're academic, you got to show that you're contributing, and so you got to publish, right? So there's this push and a pull. And IBM was very good about, okay, whatever you do, we're going to publish. And so what I did was I actually found something that they thought was kind of useful. And so they said, okay, we're going to patent this, but we want you to publish it as soon as possible. So they pushed through a patent in order so that I could publish pretty quickly. And I think, industrial postdocs, most companies, there aren't that many industrial postdocs anymore, but most places where you go to do a postdoc, they're going to want you to do that. So
I was just curious, like I have a chemical engineering background too, like what chemical engineers do in IBM TJ Watson. So
yeah, so I don't know. I'm not a chemical engineer.
Okay, but you teach in a chemical engineering department.
Correct.
Yeah, so I was curious.
So when I was at IBM, I was not a chemical engineer. I didn't know anything about chemical engineering.
Okay. Oh,
I learned about chemical engineering when I was at IBM, actually. And that's when I decided to apply for chemical engineering.
thank you.
Anybody else with questions?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So how do you think we gotta handle failures, especially in research, the frustration and stuff? How do you think?
Failure is a success.
Switch it around.
Can you elaborate on that?
Failure means you learned what didn't work.
Yeah.
Learning is a success.
Respect. Look at that.
Wow. That was so sharp. I didn't expect that.
So you going?
No.
You gotta expect
Let me
that
ask.
things are gonna go wrong. All right? So, if things go wrong, it's okay. So sometimes things go, oh gosh, I wish that didn't happen. So, oh God, accidents happen, right? So you can't go around, this accident happened. If it didn't happen, this would have happened. Why did it happen to me? It's like, forget it. It happened. It's over. Okay? You made a mistake. It's done. Or you failed. Move on. All right?
Gotcha.
Right? It's like in sports. I don't know if you play sports. It's like, in baseball, like this outfielder drops the ball, right? Drops the ball, guy gets a run or whatever. Okay, now it's screwed up. Now the ball comes to him again. You think if he's in his head, oh, I messed up. He's more likely to mess up again, right? But if he's able to put it behind him and then remember, why am I here? I'm here because I'm good at baseball. I'm going to be good at baseball. You're here because you're good at school. You're good at what you do. You put your failure behind you and you move on because you're good. You forget it. You learn from it. Don't let it linger, man.
So you belong to a physics background during your graduate studies, right? Mm-hmm. And now you are switching to some another field, or so what kind of excitements or things that came into you while you switch into yourself?
What kind of
difficulties or something like that, excitements?
What made you switch over from one branch to another?
Oh, okay. Why did I switch? I switched because it was an opportunity I saw it as an opportunity to get into something new and different. It was an opportunity to kind of contribute in a way that I didn't anticipate contributing. I saw it as a way to, learn something new, learn something different. Expand myself. When I got in, so I showed up and they said, oh, you're teaching this class. So imagine you now are in charge of teaching a class that you've never in your life taken. So that's what I did. I had to go teach a class that I never took. I have no experience. What is this, what is a student supposed to learn in this class? I don't remember, you took whatever class you took, you can imagine go teaching it. Okay, I remember when I did this homework, I did that. I had no experience like that. So it was like, I don't know what's going on here. But I failed. And I forgot. I forgot my failure. And it was fine.
Going into a situation like that, like, if you had to do it again, what would you think? I'm sorry, I think I'm close enough to the mic. What do you think would be like, some key things to think about? Like, what would you do differently? I'm asking you to reflect and not forget.
No, I understand. What would I do differently? I'll tell you what. Going back to the first question you asked me, what advice do I give my students? I was really worried. I was worried that I didn't do a good job. In retrospect, I did okay. I did pretty good. I would, in retrospect, I wouldn't worry as much as I worried. I wouldn't beat myself up. I wouldn't, I'd be more forgiving of myself. Life is too short, man, to beat yourself up. Just enjoy feel good about what you're doing. Do better. Always try to do better, right? Yeah. But recognize that the good stuff you're doing is good.
Cool. I think we're gonna. Do you have another question, or did you?
Yeah. On simpler terms, I would want to know what are the most memorable moments of your life. That is one, and the second, what you dream of right now, like means.
So most memorable moments of my life are when my kids were born, of course, and being with my children. So that's the most important thing in my life is my family and my kids. What I dream of is being able to spend more time with my family and being able to, enjoy the outdoors and enjoy the fruits of my labor to some extent. I really enjoy spending time with my students. I mean, this is one of the benefits of academia is that I feel really fortunate and like to be here right now, spending time in a room with you guys. It's
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's really special that that you guys give me this opportunity and that you give me the respect. That you want to hear from me, you want to talk to me. It's really fantastic, and it's I have a lot of friends that are not in academia and they can't really understand, right? So I feel really happy to be right here, right now.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We're going to cut it, and thank you.
Good.
Thank you for tuning to Navigating Nano. Special shout out to Dr. Gregory Parsons of NC State. Be sure to subscribe to our Anchor and Spotify and follow us on other social media platforms, which include YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Thank you and see you next episode.